Slow internet? It's the worst. How many times have you tried to load a web page or watch a movie, but sat there waiting, cursing your internet provider? But guess what? Cursing AT&T or Spectrum isn't going to fix the problem. Because more often than not, it's your fault! Today, I'm going to show you how to fix your internet speed with Better Wi-Fi. Welcome to Tolerating Tech. My name is Chris, and today we're talking about Wi-Fi. Did you know that your home has more of an impact on your internet speed than what you're getting from your internet provider? If you have broadband, you have plenty of speed, even if you have so-called slow broadband, which is generally considered to be under 100 megabits. That's still plenty of speed to load web pages blisteringly fast and even stream 4K videos. But if you regularly suffer from slow internet speed, then fixing your Wi-Fi will go a long way to making it faster. I'm going to show you how. First, a little background. Home Wi-Fi comes in two frequencies, 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz. Most routers provide both frequencies. You can think of these two frequencies like this. 2.4 GHz is slower, but reaches further. 5 GHz is faster, but can't reach as far. 2.4 GHz penetrates walls and floors better than 5 GHz and will have better range within your house. In general, you can expect your 2.4 GHz signal to penetrate two walls with no problems. 5 GHz only reliably penetrates about one wall, and maybe less, depending on what your walls are made of. You may have heard that 5 GHz is faster and that you should always choose that one. But often, choosing the 2.4 GHz signal will get you better speeds because your router may be two walls away from your device. For your more mobile devices, like your cell phones or your tablets, definitely try the 5 GHz signal first. And if you can't get good speeds throughout your house, change to the 2.4 GHz signal. If you have both your networks saved on your device, it'll actually switch to whatever's giving the best signal as you move around your house. If you're setting up a stationary device like a streaming media player, like a Roku for example, or a desktop computer, then try the 5 GHz network first. If your router is in the same room, it should actually work pretty well. But if you're seeing slow internet browsing or buffering issues with video, go ahead and change to the 2.4 GHz network and see how well that goes. There's one other consideration when it comes to picking the right frequency, and that's interference. The 2.4 GHz frequency is used by a lot of non-network devices, cordless phones, baby monitors. If you have a lot of these wireless devices in your home, you may get a lot of interference on that 2.4 GHz frequency, and that may cause slowdowns or even drop signal. Your phone or tablet may no longer even see your router. If that's the case, then the 5 GHz signal is your best option. But remember that one wall rule I talked about earlier? The 5 GHz signal may only penetrate one wall, which leads to the next consideration. Do you know what Wi-Fi and real estate have in common? The three most important things are location, location, and location. Think about where your router is right now. Is it near the perimeter of your house? Internet providers are kind of lazy, and rather than run a wire to the center of the house, they'll often run it to the side of the house, often as close to the street as possible. Because of this, your modem, and hence your router, is usually placed near an outside wall. Unfortunately, most houses are too large for your little Wi-Fi router. Even if you don't think you live in a large house, having that Wi-Fi router at one end of the house, while you are at the other end, leads to slow speeds. The Wi-Fi signal may need to go through 4 or 5 walls to reach you. A router at one end of the house is not ideal for whole home coverage. Ideally, you want your Wi-Fi router to be at the center of your house and behind as few walls as possible. It may be difficult from a wiring perspective, but if you can somehow get your router to the very center of your house, you'll get the best coverage. You may be thinking right now, oh, I have that coat closet right in the middle of the house. What a great location for the router. Out of the way, we can hide the wires. But think of the walls of that closet. They're going to impede the signal. If there's any way to get the router out of the closet, you'll get much better signal. A table in the hall or even mounted to the wall will give much better signal. You may need to run some Ethernet cable to allow for better router placement, but it'll be worth it for that sweet, sweet Wi-Fi signal. If you can't relocate your router, and don't worry, most people can't, you're forced to keep your router at one end of the house or hidden away in the darkness of the closet like your old platform shoes, it may be worth adding more devices to strengthen the Wi-Fi signal. These include Wi-Fi extenders, also called repeaters, or mesh routers. Wi-Fi extenders are a very inexpensive option for increasing the Wi-Fi signal in your house. They're usually $30 to $50, and when placed correctly, can blanket your whole house in adequate signal to provide reliable internet speeds. For smaller homes, a single extender may be all you need. The key for an extender, however, is to place it correctly. Most people place their extenders in a location that has no Wi-Fi and wonder why it won't work. It needs a good signal to be able to repeat it. A basic rule of thumb is to place the extender halfway between your router and where you want the signal. So if your router is at one end of the house, but you spend most of your time at the other end, place the extender exactly in the middle of the house. But radio frequencies are complicated, and depending on the layout of your house, it may take some trial and error to find a good spot. What's the downside to an extender? Well, you can't create something from nothing. So what you lose with an extender is speed. It can only transmit half the speed of your router. Extenders work by repeating the signal. They listen first, then retransmit. That listening and retransmitting can't happen at the same time, so you get exactly half the speed of the original signal. Most of the time, however, even half the original speed is still plenty. As an example, let's say you have 200 megabit internet service. Without an extender, you're getting 0 megabits at that far end of the house. That's pretty low. But an extender will extend the signal and give you half your original speed, 100 megabits, at the far end of the house. That 100 megabits is still a lot more than 0 and still plenty for streaming and web browsing. The other option is a mesh network. Mesh networks are more expensive, typically $200 to $300, but provide full Wi-Fi speeds throughout the house with simple setup. A mesh network replaces your existing Wi-Fi router and come in packs of 2 or 3. You place one where your internet comes into the house at the modem, and the other 2 or 3 mesh units scattered throughout the house. A mesh system is faster because most use dedicated radios to talk to each other. So unlike an extender, which if you remember had to listen and then repeat the signal, a mesh system has a dedicated radio just for talking to the other units. So it can listen and repeat at the same time. Most mesh systems guide you to placing them in the best location. And remember what we said about location? But the same rules of thumb apply. Try to place them halfway between the source of the signal and where you'll be. So let's review how to fix your home Wi-Fi. First, check which frequency you're using. Often using 2.4 gigahertz will give you better speeds, even though it's slower, because it can reach further. Then, check the location of your router. Try to get it into the center of your house and out of the closet. If that doesn't work, then you'll need to look into other hardware or either an extender or a mesh network. Remember, an extender will work if you have a small home with fewer rooms. Keep in mind it may take some trial and error to find the best placement. But if you don't want to have to deal with that, or you have a larger home with more rooms, a mesh network will get the job done quickly and easily, but costs quite a bit more. Thanks for watching. My name is Chris with Tolerating Tech. If you found these tips helpful or interesting, go ahead and hit that like button below. And if you hit subscribe, you'll get notified the next time I upload another of these very helpful videos. Bye-bye.